Happy St. Patrick's Day, and welcome to the final discussion for the Beyond the Swearing Stones read-along. I've got just a couple of questions from you guys this week, so we're going to jump right into those. The first one is, do you have a favorite part of the book? I have a lot of favorite parts. I really love the part where Duncan is explaining the knot necklace. I also really like, I can do a spoiler here because you've read it by now, I really like the part after he's been injured and how he doesn't believe that Brianna is actually there. That part was fun to write. The hardest part of the book to write, I did mention in passing last week that we could talk about that this week. The hardest part for me was the battle. I really am not good at writing battles. It's really difficult for me. So that I struggled with the very most, more than anything else. And hopefully I did it all right, even though I changed history. So if you didn't read the part at the back about setting history straight, you might want to do that to see what really happened. What is it like to work as a writer? That one I thought we could kind of do a day in the life, and I can walk you through what it's like to be a writer and to write at home. First things, I get started in the morning. I get up, get kids off to school. I get dressed in there somewhere. I do actually get dressed in my I got dressed today pajamas. I don't always wear those, but when I'm writing, I like to be comfortable. So I wear a lot of pajama pants or yoga pants because why not? I'm working at home, but I do keep it separate. So they are things where I got dressed that day. So I'm not just being lazy and staying in pajamas all day, even if they are pajamas. I don't always write every day, but on the days that I do spend most of my time writing, I sit at my desk. My cat, Shadow, comes to help me because Shadow is kind of my taskmaster. He leads me to my office. He jumps on me, climbs up, wanders around, and then I've put a bed on the floor right next to me, and he will curl up there like a dog and help me. So I sit down. First things, I get any emails out of the way. I do any other things that are not actual writing. And then I open up my current project, whether it be editing or writing, and you pull words out and put them down. And it's a lot harder than it sounds. So then I take a break for lunch and come back to it. Then I will a lot of times take my computer along with me when I'm going to pick up carpool from school and write while I wait for kids to come out. And then it's home, and that's the end of the workday because kids are home and I'm getting snacks and making sure homework gets done and getting dinner made, or my husband a lot of times will help with dinner when he gets home, and that's fabulous. That is a writing day. There's a lot of sitting and staring at the screen and typing a word and then deleting 3 and typing another dozen and deleting half of those. And it's a lot of give and take, especially if it's an edit day. Edit days are a little harder, but they're hard in a different way. So when you're writing the first draft, it's just getting words on paper. Then when you come to rewrite, it's fixing everything. So it's a very different mindset. You have to be much more critical when you're doing the editing. When you're doing the first draft, you can just put words down and it doesn't matter if it all makes sense. But you have to remember that when you go back to edit, it's still your job to make those words make sense. When I'm editing, a lot of times I will be looking at notes. A couple authors and I swap manuscripts and send each other edit notes. So I have an extra screen on my desk. So I plug my extra screen into my laptop. So then on the one screen, I have all of their notes. So it is the full file of the book with all of their markups. And then I have my other file open. And so I'm making adjustments that way. Because I send it to more than one person, I don't just do accept change or any of that. I'm kind of bringing some in. So I go through all of their notes, but I don't send it to them to get feedback until I've done an edit all on my own. So anything with this book that they came across that I did wrong, I'm looking for ways I can fix it or expound on it or make it make better sense. A lot of times, one of the authors in particular says, I want to see more detail of what it looks like. She's a real stickler for wanting to see, what do these characters look like? Where I try to do, well, I generally, not on purpose, but it just happens, I do more broad strokes and try to let the reader fill in. But a lot of the very detailed, little tiny details are because of that author. Because she's like, I need more detail here. Right here, it needs more detail because of this. And she's really good about explaining to me why she feels it needs to be that way. So you have to trust your editors and go with, not always follow exactly what they say, but go with their reasoning before you make a final decision on if you are going to accept those changes or if you're going to completely rework it to incorporate those changes, or if you're fine with it the way it is. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to listen to the editor because their job is to help get your book to the point where you really actually want it. So that's kind of what it's like writing. These days, with everybody going to, quarantine or just locking yourselves in your house and only going out as needed, I've been getting a lot of questions on how do you survive at home without going crazy? And I'm an introvert. I don't do super well around a lot of people. I can go be somewhere with people and then it takes me sometimes several days to recover and then I just don't want to see anybody for a while. So it hasn't been too much of a change for me other than the fact that kids are out of school. So some pointers on staying home and not being stressed or letting it all get to you. Get ready for the day. Whether that means change into I got dressed today pajamas or doing full-on makeup, whatever you feel, but make an effort every day to do something to differentiate between just being a slob and letting your pajamas last for a week. Make sure you get your regular meals, drink plenty of water. These are all things everybody knows to do, but sometimes we forget or need a reminder. Read books. Be explorers in your house. If you're having a hard time getting going and getting chores done, wear a tiara or a paper crown that you and your kids make together. Wear crowns while you do your chores, or pretend to be Cinderella, or look out the window and do an I Spy game out the window, or something like that. There's always something you can do, even if you want to just take a couple of days to do nothing, that's fine, as long as you start getting back into things, because that's when you get depressed if you aren't giving yourself things to do, all you're going to do is sink into worry. So those are my few little tips. I want to thank you all for joining me on this journey through medieval Ireland. And if this is something that you would like to have me do for any of my other books, let me know. And I did say I was going to let you have a recipe. So in the box down below, the description box, you'll find a link to my recipe for Dublin Coddle. You may or may not have what you need for it without going to the store. Don't go out if you don't have to. There is the option to use root beer in it. Only do that if you like your food really sweet. Otherwise, leave that out. And go find another book to read. And I would love to see what you're reading. So put your books down below, link to them so that other people can find good books to read. And thank you for joining me, and we'll see you later.